Welcome back to Strange Form. Today, we are going to be looking at G.I. Joe Classified number 111, the Cobra H.I.S. Techno-Viper and H.M.S. or heat-seeking missile system, the final jewel in the H.I.S. tank accessories and crew loadout, consisting of the Hasbro Haslab release of the H.I.S. tank and its crew complement, as well as the 788th Fire Team, and now the Techno-Viper and heat-seeking missile system. The missile system being the only one in the group that doesn't carry the 788th tag. My feeling being that we are probably going to see a Stinger repaint out of the Vamp design in the very near future to accommodate the towing capability of this one for those who didn't back the Haslab. I also would put good money down on the bet that we are going to get a green H.M.S. repaint of this one for the Vamp as well. I do wonder if this is the last windowless box to be released, at least for a while. I'm guessing, obviously really, they decided to stay in line with the design aesthetic for the H.I.S. and Fire Team, but I'm wondering what the packaging is going to look like for the upcoming Dragonfly and crew. Will they stay windowless for the Haslabs, or is that chapter in the series closed forever? But without further ado, let's open this thing up. Inside, we have a plain black cardboard tray with plastic tie-downs. No art back though. We also have what is probably the last Cobra loot crate box. The missile system does require a light amount of assembly, which is something I've always enjoyed. Unboxing. Inside, we have the instruction booklet, which is stylistically in line with the H.I.S. and the Fire Team, and shows the light assembly the G.I. Joe line has always been famous for. I love the stencil work that they've done on the vehicle, but I really would enjoy a sticker sheet similar to what came with the H.I.S. It's one of those added extras that I probably won't even use, but still gives a nostalgic appreciation. Inside, we have the Techno-Viper, the accessory loot crate, and 11-piece heat-seeking missile system, as mentioned tied down with the plastic straps rather than the corded paper. As I look at it, there's a lot of good detail here, with rivets and panels. It looks like a perfectly lethal surface-to-air missile. Whoops. Alright, with that cleaned up, the missiles are fairly large and have a good amount of sculpted detail. I really would like to have seen some included launching effects, as the thruster port on the back actually fits the rocket launcher effects found with the Fire Team, which I will show later. The detail on the main body is good, with even a fan cooling system molded into the undercarriage. And as I said earlier, there are panel lines, rivets, and really clean stencil work all the way around the missile turret base. In the white box, we have the two tires. These appear to be the exact same mold as was used with the Vamp. As for the Vamp, I'm considering doing a Vamp unboxing and review with all the Gridiron Studio upgrades. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you would like to see in the future. Lastly, we have the anti-jam missile rack, which reads Anti-Aircraft Joint Asset Movement System, equipped with hydraulic launch elevation mod, serial number 00026678890_4_2022. The Fire Team Techno-Viper is identical to the previous release, but with what I think is a far more interesting paint scheme. Red, black, and gray definitely make this guy look more imposing than Barney Dinosaur Purple, but that's just my preference. He has all the same articulation as the original, and most of the line really, although on this one I've noticed that the upper joint on both bicep and knees are almost too stiff to move, which is a problem I've seen on a few of the other bulkier figures released this year, but nothing that heating the figure up didn't solve. And now with everything out of the box, let's look at what might be in the last loot crate, or at least in the line. I still have around 60 windowless packaging figures to unbox for the channel. In the first package, we have the front folding support legs for the H.M.S. And in the second bag, we have the trailer hitch, the gas tube for the Techno-Viper. I really wish these guys came with two of these, as there are two posts on the back, and the original came with two as well. We have the Techno-Viper's holographic info readout, his plasma rifle, his backpack with the two aforementioned posts. There's actually a way here to attach the rifle to the backpack, which I will show later. The panel cover for the H.M.S. control board, I wish that they had engineered this one as a hinge rather than simply clicking into place, as it's just another little piece to get lost. Lastly, the Techno-Viper handgun and 3 tool arms. The tools can be placed on the backpack, attached to the hose, or attached straight to his wrists, similar to the BAT figures. Now let's assemble the H.M.S. First, we have the little door hatch that covers the control panel. Again, I really wish that this was on a hinge so that it could just flip up or down to display the control panel, rather than risking losing it. We have the wheels that just click easily into the friction-based wheel pegs. The stabilizing front arms clamp into the front of the H.M.S. and rotate up and down for either driving or missile firing orientation. And then we have the trailer hitch, which I really don't like, as the engineering on it makes it a little bit loose and causes the platform to tilt slightly when attached to the H.I.S.S. I wish that the trailer configuration was designed to have the hitch locked into place when attached, but the trailer post on the H.I.S.S. is much lower, so the connection needs to fold down, and it'll hold position for a while, but over time the missile platform will start to droop towards wherever the center of gravity is. I'm wondering if the folded up position for the trailer connection is for a future vehicle. I.e., is the Stinger going to have a slightly higher trailer post than the H.I.S.S.? Lastly, we have the missile rack and 3 Heetseek XO3 missiles. The missiles peg into place with the tried and true dual peg tension bar system that goes back to the very beginning of the 3-inch line. Overall, this thing is big and bulky, but not overly engineered or complicated. I don't understand the $75 price tag, $80 with tax, as it's not a heck of a lot more than you get with something like the Ram or the Trouble Bubble. At this point, I think that Hasbro is just throwing numbers at the dartboard to see what people are willing to pay. The Vamp was only $15 to $20 more than this. Character stats. Roll. Mechanical Engineering Level 2. Gear. Melee Weapons Level 1. Skill and Mastery. Artillery Level 1. Skill and Mastery. Siegecraft Level 2. Pose Gallery. Originally released in 1987, codenamed Techno-Viper, Cobra Battlefield Technician, his original file card read, "Modern battle involves expensive, complicated machines, and it is inevitable that these machines sustain enemy-inflicted damage, succumb to driver error, or simply break down of their own accord. It is the mission of the Techno-Viper to provide field maintenance support and combat engineering capability to the frontline Cobra troops. Techno-Vipers can repair H.I.S.S. tanks, build bridges, and retrieve large heavy machines from seemingly inaccessible places. Just because the Techno-Vipers carry wrenches and jack, don't underestimate them. They work their way up from the ranks of Vipers, and each one is a qualified Cobra infantryman. They also function as sappers and are always called on as the first wave in assaulting a heavily fortified position." Interestingly enough, in all the promotional material, the Techno-Viper's backpack is displayed the same way that I have it here, but in the original packaging design and promotional material back in 1987, the backpack is reversed, having the gas tanks on the bottom and the tools on the top. The original also came with 2 gas hoses, which sort of irks me that they cheaped out on this release. Also, I did find that if you ever want to stow the Techno-Viper's rifle, the 2 wrenches fit it perfectly. What to say about this one? First off, it kind of kicks me right in the nostalgias. Back in the 80s, the Green Joe version was the second vehicle item I had ever gotten, after the Ram cycle, that is. But at that point, I didn't yet have anything to hitch it to, so it just sort of sat there, blowing up G.I. Joe guys and stormtroopers alike. But the price point is where I have a real problem here. At around $50, I can see this being a good deal, similar to other small vehicles and accessories in the line. But I truly think that this is actually more of a built-in extension to the H.I.S.S. budget, allowing Hasbro to get as much out of that Haslab as humanly possible, and I'm sure this mold will be swinging back around for Vamp owners soon enough. This is not a complicated or over-engineered toy design, and the figure is a repaint. Heck, the packaging is even smaller than the Trouble Bubble, so there's very little here that justifies the $75 premium, other than you need it to complete your H.I.S.S. diorama. It's not at all terrible, I just think that Hasbro is leaning on the market a little hard in an economic slump, made glaringly obvious by the fact that this thing never even came close to selling out. So my positive takeaways are that the thing is really cool looking, and does add a lot of flair to your H.I.S.S. There's a good amount of detail, and the stenciling is immaculate. The Techno-Viper repaint is cooler than the original, and it's a striking piece even if you don't have a H.I.S.S. tank. The negatives are that it's terribly overpriced for what it is. It really should have come with some rocket firing effects and explosions similar to other missile launching entries. The tow hitch is poorly designed to hold tension when the missile rack is fully loaded, and tends to sag towards the missile weight when being towed on 2 wheels. And the control panel should have been a flip-up design rather than an easy-to-lose separate piece. I.e., this thing is fun overall, but also fairly overpriced, and again, I will reiterate that this thing is only $15 less than the Vamp, so I'm sort of glad that it hasn't done that well, as I really think that they hit the mid-size vehicle price sweet spot with the $99 Vamp. I don't want to see future similar vehicle releases climbing up to the $120 to $140 realm. But time will tell. The line is still going pretty strong, however, I'm noticing a pullback from the brick and mortar side of the market, as in many Walmarts have stopped carrying them in-store altogether, and Targets aren't exactly loading the shelves with these. Now, for illustration purposes, I went ahead and made some of my own firing effects. Because of the weight of the missiles, they droop a little bit, so if Hasbro were to attempt anything like this, they should definitely make it out of a more rigid plastic. I've said it before many times, but I'm still counting the days until Pulse starts releasing some accessory packs as club exclusives. So what do you think? Is $75 the proper price for this one, or do you think Hasbro is starting to push their luck? I get the feeling that the H.M.S. will be kicking around the Hasbro site for a while, and might see a reduction in price before Christmas. But the tanker crew looks awesome, gathered together to show us their camaraderie and dedication to mayhem. Now I hope you enjoyed this episode of Strange Form, and will help the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. And as always, remember, never stop collecting.